what informs Labour's decision or figure rather of 497,000 now 494,000 now? What is it about that? Is it just a number that Labour is putting out just to ensure the federal government at least gets to a figure that is high, or Labour really believes that 615 or 497 or now 494,000 per month is the way it should be?
Not at all. Labour look at some indices, and those indices that we look at and the parameters that we use to calculate, we look at the feeding first, which is very, very important and paramount. If we are talking about Nigeria, we always have a very large family, father, mother, and at least 4 children. I think with this current situation, families will now be reduced to probably father, mother, and 2 children. But that is in the future. But currently, what we are allowed, to move with is father, mother, and 4 children. So if we have to look at it, NLC calculated based on breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the calculation per person is 500 naira per meal, which is 1,500 naira a day. Okay. In fact, that 500 naira cannot buy a meal for a 1-year-old child in Nigeria of today. But we still say, let us do starvation feeding. So at the end of the day, with that calculation from NLC, it might still end up that you do 101 or 011 or as it may be. So we calculated based on 1,500 naira per head, 500 meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then when you now multiply 1,005 by 6 people, which will give us around 7 or 9,000 or thereabouts. So we now calculated that one and now multiply it by 30 days, because either Saturday or Sunday we must eat. So we now multiply it, which brings us to about 200 and something thousand naira for feeding.
Did you say 1,005 times how many people, please?
Times 6.
6. Okay, family of 6.
Yes.
Mother, father, and 4 children.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That's about 7,500 or there.
9,000.
9,000 naira. 9,000. Thank you. Then you now multiply 9,000 by 30.
Okay.
So we have about 270,000 naira.
Okay.
In a month.
Okay.
Per family, and everybody will agree that even that 270,000 for a family of 6, they will have to manage it, because you know what everything is saying in the market now. You want to buy a tuber of yam now, it's about 4,000 naira, a decent one.
Okay. So madam, before I pick maybe a call, I just want to find out. So this 270,000 naira we're looking at now, which is a very understandable calculation. You said 500 naira.
It's just about the feeding. You have to look about the
accommodation, transportation.
Accommodation. The labor centers even calculated based on room and a parlor.
Okay.
It did not calculate based on flat. Okay. If you want to rent a flat in Lagos, you know how much you are going to part with. Because Lagos is a city. So we calculated that at least 40,000 naira every month.
Okay.
Based on room and parlor or self-contained, one room, sitting room, bathroom, and kitchen, based on 40,000 naira per month, which is about 408,000 naira in a year.
Okay, that's 40,000 naira per month.
Per month, which is about 480,000 naira in a year, which is not even visible for you in Lagos. You can never see any accommodation in Lagos for that price again. So yes. So we also calculated for transportation. We calculated about 40,000 transportation, which is that one too is a minimal cost. Just the minimal cost. We look at some other things like the social life, education of the children. You have to pay school fees. The children have to go to school. You have to pay for school bus, or you have to do the school run. The children must take care of bus, maybe from where you stay, to and fro. The mother, the father, the children. If you calculate money for their transportation, in fact, so by the time we put everything together, and also you also have to maybe in your community, you pay for security money, come and pay for development levy, come and pay for this money. The church, you also have to balance up. Your socio-economic life, you have to balance it up. Your spiritual life, you have to balance it up. So for everything put together, that was why the NLC arrived at 617,000, which is what will be very okay, as something like a living wage.
Okay.
And by the time you have to, calculate it, like the Committee of Nations, and you put it in dollar rate, it is still less than $500. Still less than $500.
Okay. So even the feeding and accommodation, the one you've given me now, when I add it, it's more than 615,000 that the labor was asking for.
Exactly. So we started when negotiation starts now, it's about give and take. So you look at it from different perspectives, different arguments, and then you look, okay, let's be reasonable. But what the government is offering is very irritational and very discouraging. Government they should not be selfish, because we look at them that they are very comfortable in their own right. So the workers too, they should think of how they work. Look at what Uganda is paying their workers. Look at some other countries in Africa. So if they are offering us 60,000 naira, how much is that in a dollar? When everything around us about our life is about dollar.
Okay, but madam, I want to ask you to give us how this thing will apply, because of course, in the civil service you have levels, grade level 1, grade level 2, and all that. In the police you have ranks. At different public, service or civil service organizations, you have levels. Obviously, for instance, you who work in the university will not be paid the minimum, the bare minimum. You have, so how will this be applied to each person's level, grade level? Let's say we stay on 60,000 naira, for instance. How will it apply to each person's grade level? Or let's say 100,000 naira per month. How will it apply to each person's grade level in the civil service?
Thank you very much. That minimum level means that whatever your step is, whatever your grade, whatever your job, the minimum for any worker should be set as this amount. You understand? Whether you are a junior worker or you are a senior worker, if Nigeria sets a minimum, that minimum will be applicable. Either you are on level 2, your minimum is so amount of money. Okay. In Nigeria currently now, a minimum for any worker, either you are a cleaner, you are a driver, you are this, you are that, a minimum at the point of entry, minimum for the lowest cadre is 30,000 that just expired in April, and we are still now looking for.
That can buy only a 5 kg bag of rice.
As your level, as your grade increases, so there are tables that we use to calculate.
Okay, that should be from the National Salaries and National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, the consolidated, structures and all that.
We have different level of salary grades for different professions.
So now let's quickly look at the organized private sector. Some are asking, what is in it for the private sector? Are they part of what is going on? Some people feel that this negotiation is just for government workers. And how, if yes, how will it affect the private workers?
Yeah, both the public and the private sector workers, we go to the same market, We also source for goods and services the same way. So there shouldn't be any disparity amongst us. It should be the same. Because if you're looking for a better life for those who work in the government sector, those who work in the private sector too, they deserve a better wage. And that is why we are saying that a worker is a worker. Either you are working for an employer, your employer, either they are in the government or they are in the private sector, we should all be on the same page. You understand?
But madam, do the laws specifically say that the private sector must pay the national minimum wage?
Very well. That's what the law says. And that is why the government has brought them into the negotiation. That's why we have the tripartite committee from the government side, from the private side, from the employee. So that's what whatever they come out with as the minimum wage is by law, it's binded by law for any employer.
So if I have a gate man who is not I want to say probably I just hired him, just called, or someone who knows someone who can call me, so a gate man or a cleaner who may not be should I say a formal sector employee in the organized private sector, this is unorganized private sector, am I bound to pay my cleaner based on the national minimum wage?
Well, there are kind of jobs that you will do that you are to be given a letter of employment. Yeah. It depends on your services, whether you are providing the services 8 to 4. You understand what I mean? Hours of work. And also you are doing it maybe Monday to Friday as stipulated according to the law of engagement of employees. So if you are doing that, you are also binded by the same law of engagement. It depends on the kind of services they are rendering for you.
The meeting is in a deadlock. If May 31, are you positive that an agreement will be reached before May 31? Please, in 1 minute.
Well, I cannot sit here and give you what will happen, but I know that definitely what will happen is that the labor will retreat back to the house, and then they will call all their organs. They will call the neck of the labor centers at the national, in all the 36 states and the center. So deliberate, we'll reason, we'll discuss, and then we'll take the next line of action.
All right. How much will it land at finally? I know you know. Tell us.
I don't want to say anything, but at least if we could bargain for, let's come to the center. Let's come to the middle of what we.
All right.